Major funding for Hey Kids Let's Cook was provided by SafeMart.
Part of our community since 1952.
Boy, that's a long time.
Yeah, really.
Additional funding provided by the Dairy Council of California.
And viewers like you. Thank you.
It's time for Hey Kids, Let's Cook.
Hi, I'm Emma.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Riley.
I'm Signe.
Hi, my name is Lindsay.
I'm Brent. I'm Asia.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm Liliana. I'm Mariah.
I've heard that you haven't eaten pizza before until you've had a deep dish pizza. Have you heard that? Mm-hmm. We're making a world famous pizza today. It actually was invented in Chicago. It has a thick, gooey dough smothered with sauces, cheeses, spices, vegetables, and meats.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
So thick, you actually have to use a fork to eat it.
Wow.
No fingers here. And don't run out and buy a special pan for this recipe. All it takes is a simple
Cake pan.
Most kitchens have these, so we're going to use that today. While you guys are washing your hands, I'm going to go over the kitchen ingredients and tools you'll need to make a deep dish pizza. To make the deep dish pizza, you will need all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour, vegetable oil or olive oil, sugar, yeast, and you will need some salt. To make the pizza sauce, you will need 1 small can of tomato sauce, 1 small can of tomato paste, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1 teaspoon Italian seasonings, 1/4 teaspoon crushed red pepper flakes, and 2 cloves of garlic. And to top off the deep dish pizza, you will need 4 ounces of part skim mozzarella cheese and assorted toppings like pepperoni, Canadian bacon, tomatoes, pineapple, bell pepper, onions, and olives. And here are the kitchen tools you will need: a medium-sized mixing bowl, dry measuring cups, a liquid measuring cup, measuring spoons, a wooden spoon, a cutting board, a medium-sized frying pan, a wire whip, a paring knife, a garlic press, and a deep dish pizza pan. Everybody ready to make deep dish pizza?
Yes.
And so easy to make at home. We're going to start by making the dough first. And we have a medium-sized mixing bowl. Asia, I'm going to have you measure 2 teaspoons of our yeast into the bowl. And we need to make it first because it takes about 1.5 hours to rise. So we'll get that going. And yeast is a single-celled organism. Archaeologists have traced it back to being used thousands of years ago in Egyptian bakeries. All right, next we need to add our warm water. And we want to be sure that we use a warm temperature right out of the faucet. If it's too hot, it will actually kill the yeast. And if it's too cold, the yeast will not be activated. So that's a nice warm water. And Emma, you're going to add sugar to that. It needs 2 teaspoons of sugar. That's going to get the yeast cells activated, and it's feeding off of that. And we're waiting for a creamy, foamy mixture. That's going to take about 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, no need to stir here. We're just going to wait for our yeast to start activating. You can see them rising to the top already. They're feeding off the sugar.
Yep.
They just kind of bubble up and foam up.
Wow, that's crazy.
See how it looks now?
Wow. Foamy.
Really
the top
foamy
of
at
a root beer float.
Really foamy on top and creamy. That's how we know it's ready for the last few ingredients. Let's start with the salt. Emma, would you add a teaspoon of our salt to the bowl? And I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil. And the olive oil is going to give the deep dish pizza dough a nice chewy texture. So that's important for that. And plus, it's good for the heart. Okay, nice job leveling that. Sprinkle that in. And we're ready for the flour. We're using 2 types of flour. Asia, would you add 1/2 cup of our whole wheat flour? And it's really great to get in the habit of adding that to your doughs because it adds extra nutrients and fiber to our recipe. See the brown color? That's our whole wheat flour. And Emma, would you add 1.5 cups of regular flour?
Sure.
Okay, that's our all-purpose flour. Nice work. Okay, got your wooden spoon ready to stir. And you know, we're using fractions all the time in the kitchen, and I know you guys are a whiz at fractions, but where else would you use them besides in the kitchen?
Well, at the dinner table.
I use them when I'm like divvying up snacks with my friends.
So just a few quick stirs with our wooden spoon, and you can already see it forming into a big lump.
Yeah.
And it's pulling away from the side of the bowl. Okay, that's where you know it's time to get it out and start kneading it. Okay, with your hands. So that's why, remember, we washed our hands.
Yeah.
So getting the dough gathered at the bottom of the bowl, try to just grab as many of those little bits and pieces at the bottom as you can before you pull it out. And we're going to be kneading this. It's a really important process of whenever you use a yeast. Okay, so this is what you're going to do, Emma. You are going to be folding it over with the palm of your hand, pushing it away from yourself, and then giving it a quarter turn. So folding it over, pushing it away from yourself, and then turning the dough.
Okay.
Excellent. She's got that down. But kneading is really important, not just for blending all the ingredients, but it develops the gluten in the flour of the dough. What we're doing today, you guys, we're creating the protein strands. They're going to trap the carbon dioxide. So what does that carbon dioxide do in our dough?
It helps it rise?
Helps it rise. We want the dough to rise and double in size before we use it. Okay, keep going with that, Emma. Push, fold it over, turn the dough, push, fold it over, turn the dough, you got it. Okay, we're going to need to do this for a good 10 minutes. And if you have a stand-up mixer, you can probably finish that in about 3 to 4 minutes. So keep going. Nice work. Now see the difference? Look how soft that dough is.
Yeah, wow.
It's beautiful. Okay, Asia, take a turn so you know how that feels.
Okay.
Okay, push.
Oh, wow, it's so
And
soft.
pull it back over itself. Good. Now turn it about a quarter turn. There you go. Push. Fold it over the top. Give it a quarter turn. Nice work. I think that dough is ready. Okay. Now we've got to get it into a nice, clean mixing bowl. Here we go. And before we do that, we're going to lightly grease it. So Emma, just like painting, paint the inside of that.
Cool.
This is going to prevent it from sticking as it rises inside the bowl.
This is cool. It's like art.
Now notice how big the bowl is, but look at the size of our dough. It's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So go ahead and drop that in there, Asia. You need this size just so it can have a place to double in size. It's going to rise. Okay, let's take our dough. And I'm just going to kind of twist it around a little bit here. And I'm forming just a nice smooth top on our dough. And Emma, we're going to brush that again with oil. This is going to prevent our crust from getting a hardened outside layer, and it's also going to keep it from sticking to the sides of the bowl.
There we go.
Nice. One more step. Asia, you can pass over that plastic wrap. We're going to layer just a small amount of plastic wrap over the top gently. Okay, we don't want to tuck it in underneath the dough. What might that do if we tuck it under the dough?
It would keep it from rising.
It would. So what we want to do is just lay it down gently. We're going to put this on the counter in a nice place where it's warm, draft-free. It's going to be ready in an hour and a half. Now for the homemade pizza sauce. Now you certainly can buy it at the supermarket, but this is so easy and fast. You're going to want to learn how to make this at home. All right, Asia, would you pass over one of those cloves of garlic?
Okay.
We're going to use 2 fresh cloves of garlic, and we'll start by just snipping off the ends of it. It's got a nice big one there. That looks good. Just snip off the ends. And someone just showed me a trick which I didn't know. I've been just working so hard trying to peel off the outer paper. But they said if you just take a flat piece like this scraper and the paper just peels off. See how easy that was?
Wow.
Somebody just taught me that and I needed to know that a long time ago. All right, Asia, will you do one more of those for me? And we'll pass this handle first. And let's get the pan started. Emma, I'm going to put the heat on and have you put in 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now, we talked about this so much. Why are we using the olive oil today?
Because it's healthier than other oils because it comes from a plant.
Yes, and we're going to use a medium-high heat. Nice work. Was that easy?
Very easy.
Great trick. I'd love to learn new tricks in the kitchen. All right, Emma, garlic press is next. This will press out our garlic into little tiny pieces.
Both of them?
Yes. That will just really blend into our pizza sauce. Okay. Move that nice hot oil around.
Just a little more paper. Okay, there we go.
I'll do that one after.
Got to press hard. Use your muscle. Did it?
Yeah, I think
Never fails. You know, it will stick at the top of this garlic press. You just kind of have to scrape in the little pieces of garlic. Hear it sizzling?
Wow, it smells awesome.
You got it. Scrape it into the fry pan.
Is there still some on the inside? It smells great.
And as soon as it sizzles up and you see those little brown edges, you're ready to add everything else. Okay, see the little brown edges?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Emma, add 1 can of our tomato sauce, and we're using a no sodium tomato sauce, no salt added. And we're going to turn this down just a tiny bit now to medium heat. And 1 cup of water, Emma. And I'm going to add the tomato paste. Now this is a concentrated form of tomato, so if you stand here like this, it's never going to come out, is it? Look how
We could
thick
be
it's
here a
packed.
while.
The paste is packed in there. So we're going to use a spatula. Twirl that out of there. And we'll need a few more spices. Emma, you could put in a 1/4 teaspoon. These are our red pepper flakes. It'll give it that little zing that we need. And I'm going to use a spatula and really short, quick wrist movements because we don't want this to go outside of our pan, but we want to blend in that tomato paste. See how thick it is?
Wow.
Okay, Asia, come over here. You're going to be stirring this while I add the rest of the spices. And just keep blending that in there. Really fast wrist movement. See how fast it's going, the spatula? Okay, you do that. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of our Italian seasoning. This is a great combination of flavors because it already has in it dried basil, rosemary, thyme, and oregano. So we'll just sprinkle that over the top. And oh, great job, Asia. Get that in there. And I wanted to show you that I brought fresh herbs from home right out of my garden. I've got rosemary, basil, and if you have those, you can add those too. They're just fantastic. You can just really smell the difference of the fresh herbs.
Yeah, that smells great.
Okay, so this is rosemary, so I'm just going to use about a teaspoon, and I'm going to use my little paring knife and chop these up. I'm going to sprinkle our fresh herbs in, but I'm also going to put in some fresh basil. I love this. And it looks kind of dark and leafy when you get it in the sauce, but it adds a wonderful flavor to our pizza sauce.
It smells so fresh.
Okay, you can stir that in. Now I really like how fast Asia is stirring our sauce. It's really important to do that. We're stirring down the bubbles. This is so thick that the bubbles, if they break at the top, they can actually burn you. So you want to be just constantly stirring using that fast wrist movement. Our pizza sauce is done. Wasn't it easy?
Yeah.
Very easy.
And fast. Remember to always recycle. This helps save our Earth's natural resources. Now for the fun part, putting it all together. Look at our dough, you guys.
Wow.
It's doubled in size.
Wow.
And it's so soft. Feel it.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Fresh pizza dough. All right, we need to get it into our cake pan. That's what we're using. You don't need to go out and buy a special pan for this. So Emma, just like you did the bowl earlier, will you brush the inside of our cake pan with our olive oil? And you want to make sure you get the sides too, because the dough comes all the way up the sides of your deep dish pizza. That looks good. Nice work. All right, so what we're going to do is just take the dough, and we're just going to stretch it in there and just bring it up the sides. Actually, Emma, would you preheat the oven to 425? Sure. And Emma, give it one more little light brush. We don't want to add more calories than we need, so just lightly, just to kind of keep that top fresh and moist while it's baking. we're actually par baking this or partially baking it before we put on the sauce and all the toppings. That's because this dough is so thick. We want to make sure it gets cooked through, don't we?
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're good?
That looks good. Okay, this is going to go into the oven for about 8 minutes at 425 degrees. Okay, Emma, you want to do that for us?
Sure.
Okay, and we're going to get started on the toppings while that's baking. Asia, would you grate the cheese?
Okay.
We're using our mozzarella cheese, and we like to use that. Why is that, Asia, for our
Because
pizza?
it's low fat.
Low fat. We're using a part skim mozzarella cheese, and it's really stringy. When you bite into it, you can get those big long strings, so it makes it really fun. So I'm going to have you grate that, and we're going to go on to our different toppings. We have so many toppings to choose from, but you can choose what you like too. Pepperoni, olives. California ripe olives are available year-round as whole, pitted, sliced, chopped, and wedged. Pineapple. These add subtle sweetness to your deep dish pizza. Be sure to buy pineapple sweetened in its own juice, and even try fresh pineapple too. Canadian bacon. This is processed meat that comes from pork. Onions. Sweet red onions diced add just the right amount of spice and flavor to any pizza. Bell pepper. You can use either red, green, yellow, or orange. Finely chopped bell pepper for an added crunch, a little color, and pizzazz to the flavor. Sliced tomatoes. Vine-ripened tomatoes have a wonderful deep flavor that will enhance the flavor of the pizza sauce. And even some mushrooms for that earthy flavor. We've got just a few of our toppings we need to slice and dice. Emma, let's start with that red onion.
All right.
We've got to have sweet red onion on our pizza.
Cool.
Okay, I'm going to save you guys a little tear today. Look what I brought.
Oh, perfect.
Onion goggles. These are going to keep you from what?
Tearing up.
Tearing up, crying whenever you cut an onion. That's the sulfur from cutting the onion. It's released and causes your eyes to tear up and cry. All right, we're going to start with our onion. We're just going to slice off both ends. Get rid of that outside paper that sticks because we don't want that on there. And
I can smell it.
can you feel the sulfur coming out into your eyes?
No.
Okay, it's working. Our goggles are working. We got you good today. Okay. We are just going to cut this in half. And we just need a little bit on this pizza, our deep dish pizza. So I'm going to just chop 3 sections off. I think that's plenty. And we're going to use our amazing chopper, which I love because it just goes right over those grids. And just pressing down dices the onion.
Wow.
That's all we need.
Wish I had one of those at home.
All right, so we're going to push this aside, and would you pass over? Let's start with the bell pepper. But what color? How do we decide? Theirs looks so good. Emma, just pick one.
All right.
Orange today. Now the orange has a much sweeter flavor than the green. So we're just going to go ahead and chop that in half.